Recker, my brother.
Nick, my man, I haven't talked to you since last year, I think. Like, it's been a while.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe early January.
You
We
know
were
what
on a
we've done,
research
like a
call.
good old couple that's been married for a long time? We took a break from one another. Like, you
Good.
didn't send me a text, no emails. Well, that's a known for you now. Like, no emails, no conversation. We just need a little break. And you know what? Like, now I'm happy to see you again.
Good, good. I'm happy to see you too. No, you send me an email, then you're one of 300 emails that day, and there's no way. It's a horrible way to communicate.
People, you have no idea. People, like, if you send an email to Nick Parenti at the University of Notre Dame, that's the abyss. It's like a black hole. If you don't know what a black hole is, like, just send an email to Nick. It just disappears, and the energy is just sapped. It goes away and comes out as some sort of negative energy. It's just as if it never existed.
So I get hundreds of emails every day, and then I'm in meetings all day. And I'm still trying to do some things in addition to meet with people. So not only my research, but also so what that means is that I try to kind of triage my emails a bit, and then by the weekend, that's what I do. Saturday and Sunday, I do hundreds of emails. So
I thought that's when you do reviews.
I used to. Well, my friend, I stepped down from
Yeah.
MIS Quarterly as an
Hey,
editor. So
good for, like, first of all, good for you, and thank you for your service. You've done this for what, like, many, many years,
yeah,
and it's good that it comes to an end. Like, my role is ending this year. Can't wait. I'll be very honest. I can't wait. It's just like, you can't do this forever. You gotta step down and let someone else do it.
So I've been either an associate editor or a senior editor for either ISR or MISQ since I think 2012 or 2013, right? And I don't know how many papers I've handled and what I've done, but here's the other thing. I've got the special issue coming out in November,
Oh,
right?
Jesus,
So
yes.
we're going to have those to deal with. But yeah, in MISQ, right? Remember on ethics, regulation, and policy, special issue, in case people,
I already start hearing people that are preparing and doing projects. Like, I know of at least 4 cool projects that are gonna be submitted to that. I think they'll get a lot of really cool papers. Hey, we don't want to talk about your work situation, but let me just say this: this is the 3rd year, I think, that you're in this role, right? Like, and it's
no,
not
second.
okay. It's not working, dude. Be honest. Like, I know you're trying very hard to do all these things and do this and do that other stuff, but it's seriously, it's getting worse every year.
Oh, geez. Well, hey, all I know is you, my friend, are the opposite. You're on a sabbatical, so you're
am.
doing nothing,
No,
right?
well, I'm recording a podcast right now. I cut down trees today. I, fixed the roofing. I made dinner and whatnot. No, yeah, I just started. I had my last bit of teaching and whatnot last week. Like, Germany has a
Okay.
different, clock, of course. But yeah, this is
So
the
how
start of
long
my
is this sabbatical? How
Well,
long
just
is
one
it?
term, right? It's like half a year. But by the next term will start in mid-October. So actually, that's like 8 months. No, like 8 months
Okay.
teaching free. So that's pretty
So
good.
what will you do during your sabbatical? What's the plan?
Well, as always, there's a whole bunch of papers in various stages of revision, and I'm slowly but surely sort of finishing them up. And I've started building agents. That's what I'm actually doing. Like, I'm working with Codex and with Cursor, and I'm playing around a little bit with Claude Code 2, most of the time with Codex. And I've writing Python code.
Nice.
Well, I haven't written for me, really. That's more apt. But yeah, I'm building agents, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to really, like, start building agents and get pretty deep into the technical bits of it, and really do it for myself, not just watch firms do it, which is what we do all the time. So yeah, I have like 4 or 5 in my head that I want to build, and I started building the first, and it kind of works. So I want to make it a little bit better, and then move on to the next, and the next, and the next, and build a bunch of agents.
Can you make an agent to take care of my email for me?
Yeah, blah, duh. I mean, yeah, it'd be better for you too. Better for
All right,
everyone.
do that. All right. So I actually have a human assistant who I don't let her do my email because the fact is, it's judgment. It's a lot of people wanting meetings and that sort of thing, and I don't want meetings with everyone. And then those who I am having meetings with, I have to decide, is it a 20-minute meeting, a half hour? And I have this new idea that Paul Pavlov gave me. I don't know if I've ever told you about this, but 20 minutes is what you schedule a meeting for. That way you give yourself 10 minutes to go over. And if we're going to normally schedule a 1 hour meeting, you do a
I like
40-minute meeting.
I like that.
And then
very
that
much.
way you give yourself those little segments of time. So
It's actually I like that idea. Yeah, yeah. I need to tell you a lot about something that still happened while we were at ISIS last December in Nashville. Before or after the fire alarm went off. Anyway,
Yeah.
I had a sit down with two representatives from Elsevier, the big publisher, and the two people that I met. They were actually they approached me because they listened to our podcast. And
Wow.
we've had some episodes where we talked about, publishing and journals and et cetera and so forth. And they requested a meeting, so I sat down with them. And they were basically the two people that are responsible for the IS journals in the Elsevier portfolio of journals, right? They have thousands of journals, of course. So we sat down and they wanted to get my opinion on what I think is going to happen with journals now that we see AI influx of papers, like AI-generated papers and AI flooded reviewing, etc. And then they showed me some statistics on a very high level of abstraction of what it already is doing to Elsevier journals. They have pretty good analytics on like submission numbers and cycle times and whatnot, and also retractions and everything. And boy, that influx of AI paper, like what we're seeing in IS is absolutely nothing, compared to other disciplines like natural sciences, etc. They have journals where the amount of submissions in a calendar year has just increased tenfold easily.
Wow. And it's all AI submissions, like AI written
Yeah,
papers.
right. So they're having AIs. Well, so obviously for them it's the same for us. It's difficult to say whether it was completely AI written, AI augmented, or whatever. But what they are seeing is twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times as many submissions for any journal. And what they're saying, probably rightfully so, is, well, that's just, it's breaking the way that journals are being operated, which is usually a bunch of academics, a couple of gatekeeper roles, like, editor-in-chief, senior editor, associate editor. Sometimes you have like roles like a managerial assistant, someone that looks after the emails and the workflows, and Scholar One and stuff like that, or does the pre-screening, etc. And all of that is just breaking down if you have 10 times as many submissions. And it is. And I know that Robert Davison from ISJ, he's reporting similar things, and I said that I've seen the same thing with European journals, not in that vicinity of that same scale, but it is happening. It's happening more so in other journals because, to Elsevier, IS is a niche within a niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. You can't put it any other way. It's nowhere near any of the important or voluminous or other disciplines or journals. And we don't quite see the same trend. That's what I took away from the stats that they showed me. So they got JSIS, for example. They got INM, DSS, INO. I think these are the 4 main ones, I think. Anyway, so they got 4 out of the top 10 or whatever ICE journals that they showed. And so it's not really happening in our field, but it's happening everywhere else. And that got me thinking, in that age, I think we need to look at journals and journal rankings and journal operations very, very, very differently to what we've done in the past.
Yeah, and it can't be impact factor because you know what the top impact factor is of any IS journal?
Probably IJM.
Yeah, International Journal of Information Management, right? So,
And that's a great case study in itself. If you look at what happened to IGIM over the, let's say, last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I mean, if you put it very broadly and abstractly, you would say like, oh, it climbed up in reputation. People took notice. It had an enormous impact factor. Then there was, you can probably say it had a lot of a shitstorm. And then over the last 1 or 2 years, it got really quiet. It got really, really quiet. They shuffled around the editorial board, and there's a new editor-in-chief, and and so it's a little bit differently. But this is one of the cases where where I would think the impact factor is a broken metric, and that is the case study that exemplifies this. They played the impact factor game. It skyrocketed so that people took notice, and they didn't stop there, and it got into this realm where, let's say, it looked very fishy. Let's just put it like that. And then at some stage you intervened and fixed it and exchanged some people from the board. But the reputational damage is done. Like, would you submit anything to IGM?
no.
No, see, right? So no, neither would I, and I guess nor would a lot of people now these days, which is a shame. If you think about that, of course, for all this time, there have been people that just submitted papers, good work, to these journals, believing it's a good journal,
Yeah.
that has a high reputation. And, at the same time, there was some other sort of gaming, whatever type of work that was being submitted. And it totally ruins the good work that obviously also exists in this journal. And that's the sad part of this story. So, long story short, impact factor as a metric is completely broken. So, you need to take that off the table. Like, literally, if someone says the impact factor is 12, to me, that always sounds like that looks like something is fishy. So, in fact, if it's lower, then I think that's a better quality metric than when it's higher.
Even though if it gets too low, right, there's like a sweet spot for management and IS journals, and it's somewhere between, I don't know,
4 and 10, 3 and 5, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But there again, I mean, anything over a certain point, do we really care if it's like over 5 or if it's a 6 or a 7 or an 8? I mean,
well,
I don't think
my take on this is I really, really, really disregard it. It's not even a hygiene factor anymore in the sense that it needs to have a certain limit. I really think it's been gamed so much that it's really just doesn't tell me anything. It's a completely useless signal, I think.
Well, but how about on the low end? We used to have when I was at University of Georgia, there was an interim dean, and he was the former president of the university, and he was so freaked out when he got there to the interim dean that we had a journal list, and he's like, "What is this? You can't just have a journal list and only publish in those journals." He didn't understand, so he kind of had this idea that things that were over 1, an impact factor of 1, it's kind of a signal that they're legitimate, right?
And sure, like 10 years ago, absolutely. Yeah, and that was the thing, right? But then as journals started, paying attention and people start paying attention, then this metric is just too easy to game. And journals have done this. Some of them have done this ruthlessly. Some of them have this very mildly. But, it sort of takes it off the table. Like, if make sure that you cite at least 5 papers from last year in that journal, whether they explicitly demand it or you just implicitly do it because it boosts your chances, which it probably does. Either way, you only do this for signaling. So the signal is just that someone listened to the signal. It doesn't say anything about quality, about substantive quality anymore. So, and it got me thinking, what about the other
By the way, real quick.
Yeah.
What's your guess? And you may know this. Do you know Nature and Science? Do you know their impact factors?
I believe back in the day, and I haven't looked up recent set, I think they had something around 30 for a while.
Yeah. It's 48 and 45.
All right.
And if you look at the Nature journals, Nature Energy has an impact factor of 60. Nature Materials has 86. And then Nature Chemistry is 20. So if you're up over 20 with your crappy little IS journal, like iGEM, you're there with Nature Chemistry. You're not. Something's wrong. Your little IS journal should not be.
Okay, this is going to be unpopular. I think the issue here is not with IGM. It's with the Nature family of journals. By the way, the same with the Science family of journals. They started launching new journals that piggyback off the name of Nature and Science, and most of them are borderline fishy, to be honest.
Really?
Yes, I think so. There's a lot of them that are skirting the line between being good niche journals and really being outright unethical. Like several of them have submission and acceptance numbers that are nowhere near the quality standards that we would like them to have. And I can't put any names on this, but I think this has been a detriment. So the big publishers, they've done this is a marketing move. They've taken the brand name and assigned it to some random journal like Nature Machine Intelligence. Why the hell would that be a good journal in machine intelligence?
I'll take a Nature Machine Intelligence paper.
Well, you do that because it has nature on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done some work in nature sustainability. Honestly, that's just a random journal. It's not good,
not Nature.
No, it's not Nature. It has nothing to do with them. It just has the same brand name. And Science is the same thing. There's this Science magazine. There's Science Advances. Science this, Science that. They're all the same. I don't think I don't think any of them is really holding up to deep scrutiny. I don't think any of them is top journals. They have a top brand. That's a huge difference in my view.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't follow the sciences as much as I probably should, but yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I just know Nature and
Science
are the thing. Yeah.
So if you go with this, so impact factor is out as a criterion. My point here has been like some of the big name publishers and all the sort of off-brand journals that they started, they're out for me too.
Well, I told you my story that once when I decided I'm not going to give my free labor to
Yeah, to the big publishers. I remember
corporations,
that.
right? And
Yep.
not because I'm anti-corporate. I love free enterprise and I love capitalism and I think companies should make money, right? But I personally am not going to give my free labor to companies. That's as a reviewer or as an author. And I made this decision one day, and then one of the PhD students wanted to submit a paper somewhere and then I'm like, oh, I guess it's not about me. It's about the PhD student's career. And then that threw that one out the window. But I think the sentiment is pretty good. Shouldn't we prioritize non-commercial with our labor? Like when we send them material, when we do reviews, when we do editorial work. I've been an editor now for ISR and MISQ. That's Informs, and that's whatever MISQ is. Sort of.
What, University of Minnesota? That's what it is. It's just like
yeah, it's not a for-profit organization, so it's
No,
like
it's
that's
not.
But then I do work with information and organization, right, which is a publisher.
I mean, so I work for European Journal of Information System, which is Wiley, or Nature, Springer, whatever. Yeah, one of the big ones.
Yeah.
But I've also worked for MISQ and JAIS. Now, both of these are not corporate publishers. They're basically both community owned. And based on what my conversation with these Elsevier people, who, just let me finish that story. So they said, this is happening. The only way for us as a publisher of journals to deal with this, we need to algorithmify our journal operations. And I was sitting there thinking, like, I can't even disagree. That's the only way forward. You can't keep doing this manually. That means they're looking into article pre-screening, plagiarism checks. That's an old one, but algorithmic editorial or review handling of journals. If you have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of submissions, you cannot do this by having a person decide which reviewer to invite. Like, it doesn't work anymore. So I think this is where these people are going, or these corporations and the journals that are under these publishing umbrellas. This is where they're going. And I understand why they're doing this, and I don't see an easy way out. But what that means for me is, it means like, gee, I think, because I like the way that we're doing it at the moment, that we have peers looking at my papers, and I have trusted senior people as editors deciding on the publishability on the work. Very manual, very interpersonal. That means I think community journals like Informs, ISR, MISQ, University of Minnesota / AIS, and Journal of the AIS as truly just our journal. These are the most important ones going forward, way over and above anything else. Anything else. Like, so to me, these are very simply the top 3 journals in our field. And simply put, first one MISQ, university owned, and AIS, then JIS, then probably ISR in that order. And by the way, as you have noticed, JMIS further down the rank because it's already a corporate publisher.
Okay, so except that it's very personal. And all right, there's a lot to unpack here. The first is, why did this guy meet with you from Elsevier? What did he want from you?
They didn't want anything from me. They were listening to the podcast and they thought we had some insights into how the journals run. I think he wanted to talk to someone who knows several journals. I don't know. Like, he didn't want anything from me. I thought they did, but they didn't. They just wanted to talk with me and see how would they assess the situation that they see their journals, like the trends in the journal publishing game.
Oh, wow. All right. And then very interesting, 2 interesting things that you did. You brought up the one, which is you put JAIS there, but JMIS, which is often the third IS journal. But you put MISQ ahead, and you even put MISQ and JAIS ahead. So what's your logic? Is that out of like patriotism or for the field, or is that because you?
Well, so first of all, in terms of editorial board, like that's usually a criteria, right? Who's on the board? How reputable do we think the people are that are the SEs and As on the board? Now, frankly, I don't see a lot of difference between any of these 3 at the top. I see a little bit of difference if you compare those to some of the other journals that are in our basket, like the European Journal, JIT, or whatever. The editorial board is a little bit different. They have some more up-and-coming kind of people, for example. But ISR, MISQ, and I will say JAIS, they really try to get the best people on the board. So editorial board, there's slight difference, but basically it's all the same. So it's not really a good criterion to distinguish anything. Review process, review quality, dude, completely indistinguishable. Like they're all good. They're all same time frame. Like there's no.
I would argue
MISQ
because of Arun, because of Andrew in particular. Those two, what they got, and now Sue is, I think, keeping it going. I think they have focused more on speed than ISR in recent years. Where I think the ISR, kind of, my experience is that they tend to have reviewers into more rounds. I think MISQ, Arun, and Andrew really tried to create the thing of only use reviewers for a couple of rounds, 2, maybe 3. I think ISR never got that message. MISQ really wanted to accelerate the review process, so I think it's going to be a little faster, whereas ISR, I think,
so, and that would be the
slower.
main reason why I see MISQ at the top. Like it is just a little bit more consistent, a little bit better in terms of how they handle the process, a little bit faster, a little bit earlier going to the editorial rounds, blah blah blah. JS is second, it's very consistent. You can put your money on what kind of feedback you'll get, etc. And it's still faster than ISR, so that's why ISR is sort of a little bit further down.
All right, well, wait, I'll give you a counter argument.
These are all just minute details, I think.
So I'll give you a couple counter arguments. The first is ISR is informs. Informs outside of the IS field has a lot of status, right? It's got the operations journals, management science. It's got org science, right? It's because of the informs name. If you go outside of ISR is a legitimate top tier publication where they might not even, in some schools that might not even recognize MISQ. So
that is, but I don't want to take any of these arguments. Yeah, this is the status argument there's no evidence for any of this. This is just what we say to each other all the time.
Is it? Huh. Well, I don't know. I think here in the US, I think in the world, this is my experience, and again, it's just anecdotal. The entire world thinks of MISQ as our top tier journal, and ISR is basically similar to MISQ, but MISQ is really the thing. In the United States, in business schools, I think it's a little bit flipped, where everybody appreciates MISQ, but ISR is the serious elite. It's informs, it's in the big leagues. If you really want to do a top tier IS paper, it's an ISR. So I agree. Most places, like here at Notre Dame, we're not going to distinguish between the two. They're both elite journal publications, but there are schools that won't recognize MISQ in the States. At least,
well, and you probably find different schools outside. You know what it means to me as an author? To me, it really depends on the type of paper. Like if it's very strong on like for example, I think there's a difference in the level of theoretical contributions in the type MISQ over ISR. So if it's a little bit more empirical, a little bit more methodologically super duper duper, that means ISR is probably a way to go. And if it's more interesting, novel, a little bit more out there, theory stuff, then MISQ. So, but this is depending on the type of paper, nothing else, right?
And depending on who the editor is, because I would say more technical papers can go to ISR, except for the technical papers that are in MISQ. And then I would say more theory papers can go to MISQ, except for there's some wonderful theory papers in ISR, including I guess it would have been my second top tier was ISR.
But from someone that actually submits a lot more to JIS, for example, than you do, I'm pretty sure of that, right? It's the same thing. They with the one nice difference is that they don't have this AE level, so the packages are slimmer, like they're leaner. Anyway, so these are my top 3, and we can debate on the order within them.
I'll go with it, but I'm not going to put JIS in front of ISR, right?
So my argument for JIS over Informs is that it doesn't need this. Informs is an important association, and a lot of people outside of US think it's a big deal thing. So maybe not, because I never hear that argument, only from you. So JIS, the interesting thing to me is this is the journal of the AIS, and the AIS is just us. There's no one else. There's not an external stakeholder. Informs, IS is a division within Informs. So if Informs decides on something, it ripples down to ISR, like the other journals. So, JIS doesn't. It's just when we want to do something with a journal, we as a community have to fund it. we pick amongst ourselves the editor-in-chief based on the criteria we decide on ourselves, with a committee that's composed of ourselves, and then we have the people do the things they want to do. Like, it's just all of that is us. And if we want to do something about it, if we want to keep the review process manually, then we do this. If we want it algorithmic, etc. If you want to change the nature of the contribution from theoretical to whatever, we just do that. So I think that means a lot, and I think it will mean a lot more going forward.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is great about JAIS, and that's one of the reasons it went from being a good journal to being an outstanding journal. The problem is, in reality, our field's flagship journal is MISQ. Now, it might be run out of Minnesota, but we really do. I mean, all the things you say also work for MISQ. There's some Minnesota people there on a board, I suppose, but no, they're part of the IS field, and it's very much an IS. So
absolutely,
can we have two flagship journals? We really have one real one, but we keep cheering for the other one, right?
Yeah, look, I think we have a tiered, like, personally, I think IS, the size that we have, we've grown to 5,000 people, but let's face it, we haven't actually grown beyond that. It's not that we're on our way to 10,000 members, so we've been pretty stable around 5,000 global members. Personally, I think one true flagship, that's enough. You gotta have a way of sifting out the really super duper top stuff from the also very good other stuff. We don't need 10 journals. We don't need 4 equal top journals. I think if we have a couple of really top journals, but within them there's one that's a little bit better than the other, I think that's fine.
All right. So Recker, if we're doing Recker's ranking, I'm going to give you, it sounds like we're basically saying MISQ is number 1 in Recker's ranking. I'm not going to let you put JAIS in front of ISR. You have to go ISR number 2, JAIS number 3.
No, here's my proposal. We build a pyramid scheme. Here's the pyramid scheme of journals. Okay. At the top, there's only one journal. This is MISQ. Then the second tier has 2 journals. And this is ISR.
Ooh, and the third tier has 3 journals?
And the third tier has 3 journals. Now this is, I think, where it gets really interesting, because everything else is a little bit like personal liking and preference and whatnot. But what's the third tier? Do you want to hear my proposal? Third tier?
Yeah, sure.
So I think it's JMIS. I think it's ISJ. And the third one, I'm a little bit unsure. But I reckon I'd go European Journal. And I'm
see why
with it.
When you're putting 3, I don't see a difference between European Journal, JIT, and ISJ. Those are now they might have different emphasis.
In my pyramid scheme, I only have 3 slots on the third tier. That's it.
See, you can't create an artificial thing like that. So I would do this. You can't get away with. I like your pyramid idea. I think it's fun. If you're going to do a ranking, you have to number rank them. You can't be a little pansy and equivocate, right? You have to go order. I think it's clear it's going to be MISQ, ISR, JAIS, JMIS. That's Recker's ranking, your top 4.
I reckon ISJ is right there.
So now, well, then you have to make that argument. But let me give you a couple of ideas real quick before we go into the old basket, I guess we could call it. Because the new basket, as I predicted,
you did.
We created this basket of 11, and it killed the entire basket.
It totally killed the list. Right. We've had it for over a year now, and
nobody
name one person that goes by, I'm picking everything in the 11, and that's my decision criteria for anything. No. It doesn't exist. No. It's just dead. Instead, what we've done is, which is exactly what you've said, is now within that list of 11, we're debating tiers. That's what we're doing.
I don't even know what they are. I don't know what the 11 are. I knew what the 8 were. So, yeah, I think we killed it. All right. Now, here's the issue that we run into next. Of course, you're going to go JMIS, ISJ, JIT, Aegis, right? These are like the next group, and it's the old basket you're essentially recreating, which makes your list really, really freaking boring, Recker.
I wouldn't put all of them in there, to be honest. I would.
No, let me do this, because there's an element of advocacy to your ranking. What if we were to pick, after those 4, which we kind of agree are like our top, what if you had to pick what's the next one that is not owned by a big publisher?
Oh, crap.
I have a proposal for you.
Yeah, go for it.
ACM Transactions of MIS. Now, here's my argument there.
Okay.
It's ACM.
Yeah.
Which is the Computing Society, we are kind of a relative of that. We have our own journal, Transactions of MIS. The same argument is kind of Informs, right? Informs has universal appeal. ACM has universal appeal. IEEE has universal appeal. As far as I know, we have two ACM journals. We have ACM Transactions of MIS. We have ACM SIGMIS database, the database one, right?
Yes.
Those are our two ACMs, aren't they? And then
Yes.
IEEE, we have sort of,
TSE,
yeah,
Transactional
that's not
Software
really
Engineering,
us. That's
and
not
then
us,
Transaction Engineering Management.
which is not really us either, but there are IS people. So it's like, let's take IEEE off of there.
Okay,
And when you talk about straight IS, the two that we have are the ACM ones, right?
I like that.
What do you
I
think?
don't.
What it, no?
I don't have a lot of experience with them, but I like the way that you construct that argument. To be honest, it's a good argument. Yeah.
Like, what if we on Recker's list, what if we in Recker's ranking put ACM TMIS as number 5?
Do you have any experience with them? I mean, like review, my assumption, and that's another. My assumption is the editorial board quality, review process, review quality, review timeliness. It's pretty similar across many journals. Like some are a little bit faster, more consistent, some are a little bit slower, but by and large, they're all okay, aren't they not? I mean, that's
Yeah.
not really a criterion to distinguish
So
anymore.
Yeah, so I'll give you two where I came up with that. First of all, that's not my original. It's something that Amrit Tawana basically mentioned to me way back when. He's like, you know what? We don't pay attention to ACM TMS, but like computer science, it's an ACM journal. Whatever you immediately have legitimacy outside of the business school, right? The other thing, which full disclosure, Hung Ju, my colleague, my new colleague here at Notre Dame, is the editor in chief of
Oh, that's right.
ACM
She is.
TMIS, right? So that's why it's on the kind of top of mind for me. But I was looking at that, and those are the two things that I thought. It's like, why aren't we? But if it's an ACM journal, it's MIS. Why the heck, if we love, getting behind JAIS, why don't we love getting behind this one too? So I don't know. That was
Well,
just something.
what about if by that reasoning, what about CAIS? That's just like from deep within the core of our community. It's just us. It has this. People still regard it as a second-class citizen, and they said, "Oh, only shitty work gets published or whatever." But it's not even true. And it does all the other things that no other journal does, like the panels, the debates, and the workshops, and the tutorials. Hugh Watson built his career out of CS tutorials. It is by far the most read of any of the IS journals. Like the e-library statistics
I
are
guess-
always like millions of people read CAS, not the other
I
ones.
agree, except that it's communications, right? So it's like not really research.
What,
It does a
you-
lot of
you
other
think
things
that-
too.
Oh, well, yeah, and so there's always been this debate, should it not do that? Because one of the things this does, like, publishing teaching papers and stuff like this is detrimental to your impact factor. It really is. Like, because why would you cite a teaching case? No one cites a teaching case, but everyone uses it, right?
But that's the only reason I wouldn't put CAS up there. It has some nice research articles. It's really well cited, but the issue is that it's a communications, right? In many ways, it's kind of a magazine, or it has a lot of roles other than publishing research papers, in addition to publishing research papers.
But it's a really big community journal, and it always bugged me that people don't give it the respect it deserves. Let's put it this way.
All right,
I
so-
understand why in the research ranking metric games it doesn't look good enough to be there, but that's because we need it to be exactly the way it is.
All right, so ACM TMIS, I was looking at the editorial board, and it is a star-studded editorial board. The problem is everybody's pictures are from like 20 years ago. We got Ahmed Abbasi. Matthias Yarki is still on there. I believe he passed away. Helmut Kritschmar, Michael Chow, Balaji's on there,
pretty
Nachi
big
Sahu. So this is a great editorial board.
Yeah.
And then the advisory board has all kind. Yeah, so I think the ACM TMIS, if we wanted to pick one to get behind, that might be one that would be interesting. Anyway,
What if we say there's only four or five IS journals? Say 5. Let's go with that. So you have the 3 that we had. JMS, you probably still put up there. What's the 5th one?
well, that's just it. When you mentioned ISJ, JIT, and Aegis, I don't know. I think they have a slightly different flavor. Like ISJ is going to be more qualitative only, not only, but primarily qualitative. I think JIT and Aegis more of a mix. There's the Stefan Zeidel theory of JIT that people outside of our field don't know IS, they know IT. So they'll look at JIT as a top tier. So yeah, to me, those three, I kind of think of them as the basket journals that are just very good journals and not MISQ-ISR kind of thing.
I think they're definitely a second tier. They're good journals, they're good papers in there, but it's just a different level. Like it's just on all sorts of things, in terms of interestingness, in terms of rigor, in terms of theory, right? So
how do you decide among those three, though?
I go by which of the review process do I think is handled the best. And I think their ISJ is head and shoulders above European Journal, which is better than JIT. Sorry. So that's just my experience as an author. JIT is just inconsistent, very slow. European Journal is inconsistent, not necessarily slow. And ISJ is just, it runs like JIS. It's really well run. It's just like, you get it in, you can bet your money that within 10 to 12 weeks, like in 3 months, you'll have your feedback.
So before we publish your ranking, we have to do two things. One is assess the editorial boards, see which editorial boards we think are stronger. And then the other is we have to maybe ask the editors for that information. How fast do you turn things around on average?
All that information is available. We just had that Senior Scholar Journal Review Quality Survey that they do every X years. It just came out in December. I looked at this. Honestly, they're all about the same. They really are. It's like that's what I mean. Like the review process quality, it's a minor detail. Like in the sense that MISQ does it most consistently, and some of the other ones struggle a little bit with consistency in the rounds. Review quality, like the quality of the feedback. I would say, as an editor behind the scenes, one of the advantages of MISQ and these journals is that you get like that. If you ask a really senior person to do a review, they'll do it. And if I ask for a European journal, they say, I'm sorry, I'm an editor for something else, I'm not doing it. That's a big issue, right? Most of the big people are editors.
Recker's journal ranking: number 1 MISQ, 2 ISR, 3 JAAS, 4 JMIS, 5, 6, 7 tie, Aegis, JIT, ISJ.
No, I'm sorry, I'm just picking ISJ. I'm not picking the other two.
You can't do that. I'm not letting. All right, we're gonna have to go back on that. And then 8. Let's throw ACM, TMIS in there. Although I love INO, and I think that's another one that outside of our field gets more eyeball.
But it's not broad. It's not Big Tendy enough for me, to be honest. Like it's great for qual, good papers, wins a lot of awards, blah. But try publishing a survey there, or whatever.
You just put ISJ there. ISJ is not exactly.
No, ISJ is not quality. Just quality. No, it's completely Big Ten. It used to be when you and I started. It was the qualitative journal. It's no longer. I've published a goddamn cross-sectional survey in there once.
All right.
Long time ago.
So who do you put at number 8? Are we putting ACM, TMIS? Are we putting INO? Are we putting, who would you put after?
I would normally put INM, but I don't because it's Elsevier and publishing and blah. So I'm not putting that. By that same reasoning, I'm not putting INO there. I like your idea of ACM, TMIS because the only alternative that I have is CIS or Sigma's database. Now, Sigma's database is kind of like a Big Ten with a little bit of a theory flavor, and they got this weird philosophy corner. I kind of like that, and I like it because it's different. I like CIS because I think it's underappreciated and underrated. And ACMTM, I just don't know enough about it. It's well, from what I can see, it's good. There's good quality papers in there, and when I see one of them, I would I would cite the paper when I like it, and I would put that citation, and I wouldn't think twice about it. So I think that's a little signal that I would use for myself. So it's like, yeah, I'll cite a TMIS paper. Why not? So maybe, yeah, we can go with that. But all the other ones, DSS, nah.
How about the two that you're missing? You're a German. You should have brought up Bygstad by now. And the second one is Strategic Journal of Information Systems. Why didn't you bring up
JSIS is the Big Tent argument. Like, it's fine. I think the strategy paper is fine, and you can cite it and all of that. But it just doesn't publish all IS research. It's simple, right? So, like, if it's not strategic, you are at a disadvantage. So I think that then you need to have some criteria by which you can distinguish, and that's a criterion that makes it a topic journal, more so than any of the other ones. The same reason goes a little bit for European Journal, not strictly, but a little bit. It publishes its focus on European tradition, European region, European cases, European whatever. Not strictly, you can't submit other things as well, but it has that tendency. Bygstad is very German. Frankly speaking, the review quality is okay, but it's a little bit too nice. You can get stuff published there that you just can't publish in other journals. Like I'll be honest, it doesn't have the reputation. No one outside of Germany sees it, reads it, cites it. It really isn't. Like it's very good for a German journal. It's a lot better than what it used to be. It's good trajectory. Everything is fine. But if we go by putting any national journal up there, then it's just not there. Sorry.
Where are we then in that? So you brought up INM, INO. You're kind of lumping those two together. You brought up. So we're bringing Bygstad down the list a bit. What else? What journals are we missing? We're elevating the
But my
ACM
point
journals.
is, we need fewer journals. We're not that many. Like,
So
if
10.
marketing with 15,000 people can get away with 3 top journals, why do we have 11 or 10 or 8? I don't think we need that many. Like, publish your work in fine journal. And more than you. Like, I publish in all 11 of these, except for ISR, but I publish in 10 of the 11, right? So I like all the time, to this day, I'm picking the journals and submitting there. I'm not always going MISQ ISR and then see where else I can put it. So so by all means, go ahead and do that and you'll be fine. But if you ask me, like, if for whatever reason that is important for what is a great journal or how do we distinguish what the best of the best kind of thing is, I think we should stick with 2, 3. I'm even squirming about having 4 of them. Like 1 or 2, 3 maybe is fine. So think FT50, where we have 3 journals at the moment. Really, do we really, SIS, with all the other disciplines, should we be the only ones that have 4 journals in FT50? I think that's kind of
No,
weird.
marketing has that many, and others have that many. So I
Well,
think
they're way bigger than us.
entrepreneurship,
They are.
or is entrepreneurship bigger than us?
No, entrepreneurship is 2. ETP and JBV, that's it.
Really? Okay.
I mean, plus
I don't know.
we can publish in ORC and AOM journals and all these sorts of things. These are also available to us. I don't think we need that many IS top journals anymore.
All right, Recker. This is what we're going to do. You and I are going to come up with our top 10 IS journals, and we're not allowed to go beyond 10.
And we have to
That sound
rank
good?
them in order. It has to have an order.
And we have to have a logic, and we'll put the logic for why one. So, for example, ISJ, Aegis, and JIT, you and I have to go back and forth, and we have to actually rank those 3. Strength of editorial board. We have to look at some of the metrics. Whatever, and look at the papers. Right? I don't know. But I think what we should do is make our top 10 list and really go out of the way of combining our patriotism, or what would you call it? Partisanship for
Partisanship
IS.
is good, yeah.
That's important. We need to promote things that are IS focused and not publications that are Elsevier or Wiley or whatever, right? So if you're Elsevier, Wiley in the Recker ranking, we will demote you a little bit. You'll be below your weight. If you're not, if you're IS, if you're AIS, if you're ACM, if you're IEEE, we will promote you. Informs, right? We promote you a little. And it'll be pure IS. So we don't count management science. We don't count organization science, which both publish IS papers.
We don't count AMR and AMJ, even though,
Right.
same thing. Yep, agree.
So we're only talking pure IS papers, and we will discount like niche journals.
Yeah.
We will discount publisher, big publisher.
And people. So we will do this, but if you're listening, you can do the same thing. You can reply to our LinkedIn post or whatever. Give us your list, but don't just give us 10 journals. They have to be in order, and you have to have a clear system of justification.
Give us your arguments and tell us which journal we missed. Tell us which journal we missed. And then I think we should have our ranking. And the ranking should only have 10 journals, and it should go 1 to 10. What are the top IS journals? And I know you want to have 3 or 4, but I think we need to.
Well, if you have a system of 10, you can have a cutoff line somewhere there, right?
Yeah.
After 2, after 3, after 4, whatever. Or you can put them in different tiers, whatever. Okay, let's do this. And people, let us know as well. And then we, if we crowdsource a few perspectives, then we'll probably get some nice aggregate view of what the field thinks, what the top true journals are.
So help us. This 2026, you and I are going to have a rigorous ranking, and we'll have justification for our ranking.
The year of rigorous ranking. I like that.
It's not a list. It's not a journal list. It's a ranking, right? We're first 1, 2, 3. It's 4. Yeah. All right, this is good.
Very much. This is good. This was the start to yet another season. Year number 6, dude.
Wow. 6 years?
6 years. Well, it's the start of the sixth year. So, people, we're back. You know, the bi-weekly dose. We have a few guests lined up. We're always happy to hear suggestions for other guests, for other topics what we should talk about. And on that, you'll get your usual spiel of Nick and I running our mouth on certain topics. Nick, it was good to get this going again. Can't wait for the next one. See ya.
All right, Recker. See you next time.